Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. September is come and gone and we have a ton to update everybody on today. So this will probably be a pretty long video. We're going to go over a lot of house analysis. I finally bought house number 5, so I want to get into the weeds a little bit, show everybody kind of how I run the numbers and make sense of everything. So, but first we're going to go over income. For September, made 4,615.40. Didn't really work a whole lot of overtime. It was two base. 40-hour. Like there's no bonuses, nothing. Since I'm salary right now, I can't make overtime. So yeah, I got nothing except for the two bare minimum paychecks. So that's unfortunate. So every 2 weeks I get $2,307.70 or something like that. So yeah, that's just two bare minimum paychecks. Taxes $898.43, and then 401k was $461.54. Employee stock purchase plan was $230.78, and then take home pay $3,024.65. It's not the best month, really. It will probably be November or December before I should get another bonus in November, I think, for the closeout of September, and then I should get a Christmas bonus sometime in December. So I'm just not quite there yet. For my wife, she made the exact same that she did last month. Hers is super easy. No rental income yet, no other income. It looks like we made $8,700 this month and then took home $5,673. So next, jumping into house analysis. This is just a picture from Google of a house that's extremely similar to the house that I bought for house number 5 here. But just wanted to make sense of the numbers and how I am evaluating houses. So this house that I bought September the 10th, um, property cost was 110,000, so I put it up here in this cell here. I had to spend $5,000 on the foundation, which I'm still working on right now. I have 2 or 3 guys that are working on it. And then I'll have to spend about maybe roughly $1,000 between paint and redoing the carpeting downstairs. Everything else is it's cleaning stuff up. It's mowing the yard, trimming shrubs. I mean things that don't really cost a lot of money except for sweat equity. So cost to make rent ready, meaning like how much do I have to spend to get this thing ready to be rented, is about $6,000 is my estimate. Closing costs. This is going to vary depending where you live, but in my area, it's usually around 2%. There might be some situations like if you bought $1 million house, it might be a little bit less than 2%, but in this case, it was about $2,000 for closing costs. Down payment. So normally I put 20% down, and I had enough cash to put 20% down. But when I was running the numbers of like when you go to apply to a mortgage, you can buy down points, you can do 15-year loan, you could do a 30-year loan. I usually only do fixed rate loans, and these are residential loans because they are not more than 4 units, and so when I was running the numbers, I usually always go 30-year. They seem to make the most sense, at least on paper, and helps my rate of return here. When I did 15%, it helped move this up maybe 0.5%. So I will have to pay PMI, but it's like maybe $40 a month, which I've included down here. But it was cheaper just to put 15% down and versus 20% down and pay the $40 a month of PMI. And so I went ahead and just put 15% down, which was $16,500. So the total cost of purchasing the property between closing cost, rent ready, down payment is $24,370, financed on 30 years at 4.5% interest. My debt is $93,500. And so it's going to rent. So this is all like the cost of the property here, just the upfront cost. Next category is the income. So rents, I'm anticipating this should pretty conservatively rent for about $1,200 a month. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, which in my area is usually $1,300 to $1,400 probably. So I try to be a little bit under market rents. Utilities, they're not reimbursing me for any utilities. So they're going to pay the electric bill. I'll pay the gas, water, and trash bills. And I guess they'll pay internet as well if they want it. But So gross income will be $14,400. I have to factor in vacancy. Again, I try to be as conservative as possible. It's not realistic to, this person's going to move in and live there for 100 years and then die. So I'm factoring in 2% vacancy. So that might be like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months roughly every like couple years. I'll have a tenant move out and a new tenant move in. I'm going to be pretty selective in the beginning and make sure that I get the right person in here. So yeah, it may be vacant for a couple months, but I'm putting 2% for vacancy. So that's an average loss of $288 a year I'll lose in vacancy. So my effective gross income is 14,112. And then for owning the house, I have a bunch of expenses that I have to pay. So maintenance costs, usually what I do, if it's a brand new house, I'll usually, put it down at like 2 or 3%. If the house is like 20, 30 years old, I'll maybe put it at 5%. If the house is like 100 years old, I'm probably going to put it at like 9 or 10%. So in this case, the house was like 50 years old. And so, um, I put it at 7%. So it's about $1,000 a year is what I expect for maintenance. So that could be, hot water heater goes out. There's my full $1,000 gone that whole year. Furnace goes out. That's 3 years worth of maintenance gone in a year. Air conditioning is, 2 years. Some years I may only have like a toilet problem, $200 for a toilet or something like that. Management fees, if I were going to pay a property manager, I would put, I don't know, I think it's usually 10%, but I manage them myself, so it's zero. Utilities is negative 1,500. So that is the gas bill to do the furnace, that's the trash, which the gas is probably $50 a month on average. It's probably 20 in the summer and then 100 in the winter. Trash is probably $12 to $15 a month, and then water is about $50 a month where I live. So gross utilities that I'll have to pay are $1,500. I don't really have any additional expenses that aren't included up above. For owning the house, I have to have insurance on the house, which is about $1,000. I will try to find insurance that is cheaper than this, but not really an area I want to skimp on. And then taxes. So taxes are going to be interesting. The taxes last year on this house were like $250. The lady that I purchased it from was very old age and she had a lot of exemptions for taxes. So I know I won't have my homestead exemption tax. And so I'll have to pay the full tax amount, which I'm anticipating will go from $250 up to $2,000 a year in taxes. So I tried to, again, be conservative on taxes. So total cost and expenses should be around $5,488 a year. And then I also have to pay the loan on the property, which just the interest is going to be $4,950 a year. So, so we take 14,000 in gross income here, minus 5,488 from the expenses that I have to pay to own the house. And then that leaves us with 8,624. But then I also have to pay the interest on the debt. So the actual mortgage payment is going to be more than this. It's like $600-ish a month is the mortgage payment. And so if you do the math, that's like 7,200 a year. But some of that goes towards principal, which I've included over here. So cash flow every month, I should make roughly $300 or $3,674 a year in cash flow. So it would take me, I have to spend 24,000 right now to make $3,600 a year. So it's going to take me about 8 years to make my, my down payment back, not including appreciation or principal paydown, which are some other things we have to factor in. But the way that I value real estate is just based on cash flow. So I want to make a 15% rate of return. So this came in at 15.08. It's the first house that I've seen in probably a year that's been above 15%, and it was listed at 150,000. So I think I've purchased it with quite a bit of equity. I'm going to probably value it at 140,000 to be a little bit conservative. Zillow says it's like 154, 153, somewhere in there, but I'll probably go with 140. So just in cash flow, it's a 15% rate of return. With principal paydown, that is an extra $3,030 a year that I'll make in principal pay down. And then for appreciation, trying to be conservative. These last like 5 years, houses have went up like 10% per year. So I put appreciation at 3%. So it's just the cost of the property times 3%. So I should make about $3,300 in appreciation conservatively each year. I bet it will actually be more like $10,000 a year in appreciation. And then for owning this house inside of the LLC, which is where I've put it, I get tax benefits. And so my current tax bracket is about 22%. And so it'll decrease my taxable income. So my tax exposure decrease is $1,100. So that's $1,104 that I will save in taxes for owning the house. So total returns per year is 11,109, again, being extremely conservative with appreciation. So it's 15% just with cash. It's 27% if I factor in my principal pay down. It's 41% rate of return if I factor in appreciation and principal pay down. And then it's almost a 46% rate of return if I factor in all four of these: cash flow, principal pay down, appreciation, and my tax exposure decrease. So roughly, based on these calculations, which are still pretty conservative, I should make my money back in about 2 years. And so the game plan would be essentially just make my minimum mortgage payment, let appreciation take its course for the next 2 years. I bet, this $110,000 house will move up to probably, well, if it's at 140 or 150 now, probably in 2 years it'll be 160 or 170. And so at that point, refinance, get a lower interest rate. I'll lose the PMI after a couple years, refinancing at an 80% debt to equity ratio. So yeah, that is essentially how I, evaluate a property. But the main thing I'm looking for is my cash on cash return, or 15, above. For me in my area, this is going to be different for everybody else. I'm looking for 15%. Disclaimer though, if you live in California, I highly doubt that you're going to find a 15% cash on cash return. If you go to, like, let's say Virginia, I know you can buy houses in, like, maybe it's someplace in Virginia. I know they have super cheap houses over there. You can buy a house for 20,000 and rent it out for 500 or 600 a month. So you might have a 60% cash on cash return. But in my area, it is usually houses are 10% or under. A good deal is 15% or above. And so the line in the sand that I've drawn for my area is above 15%, which this house met. So yep, that's essentially evaluating how I evaluate a house. So if you are all interested in, this portion of the spreadsheet, leave a comment down below, and I'll separate this out and include it in the description or something. Net worth update. So house number 4 is at 306,421. No real change here. House number 5, I'm putting it at 140,000. I know for a fact that I got an amazing deal on this. I probably got 20 to 30, maybe $40,000 of equity just purchasing it right. I submitted a lowball offer. She came back with 120. We settled at 110, and then I'll have to spend $6,000 on foundation and some carpets and paint and stuff like that. So no real changes with the truck. So these are all going to stay the same. 1946 Chevy is obviously the same. I won't change this for probably 3 or 4 years. 2013 Honda is the same as well. So no updates there. Health savings account is at 13,756. My 401k went way up to $53,703. So I'm not sure. Oh, nope, yeah, that's exactly. I thought it was a typo for a second. It went up $11,000 this month, which is it's absolutely crazy. So, whew, that's nice. Employee stock purchase plan is at $900, and then my wife's 403b is at $37,783. So our investments this month, mainly from my 401k, just skyrocketing all of a sudden, is up $14,000. That is amazing. So next month, I'm assuming next month it'll probably go down. I'm not sure, but it seems like it's a roller coaster. 1 month it's up, 1 month it's down. So House number 4, I owe $105,944 on that. And then house number 5, which I've not made a payment yet since it's not due until October or November. I think the first payment's at the end of October. Don't quote me on that, but um, I owe 93,500, just like I showed in the analysis here. So total debt is just under 200,000. Checkings account is currently at 14,870. So obviously had to take a big hit in the checkings account. Paying for closing costs, paying for foundation repair, carpets, paint, all that stuff. So took a big hit there. Rental checkings accounts at $1,000. And so once I get this thing rented out, house number 5, we'll see rental checkings account make some moves. I'll put her deposit inside of there, and then all the rent that comes in, all my expenses will come in and out of this specific checkings account. And that just makes filing my taxes at the end of the year significantly easier when I segregate which account that it's in. So net worth went up $30,000 this month, a little over 30,000. So I'm at $426,392, and I am $93,058 ahead of my goal pace of becoming a millionaire by the age of 30. So house number 5 was a huge help this month. I'm going to spend the next couple months, at least probably November. The goal is really December to get this thing rented out, and then probably get my either December or January, get my first month's rent coming in. So yeah, for the next 2 months, I'll be focusing on just getting this place ready to rent. I'm going to be pretty conservative with the tenant that I select. I'm not just going to move the first person in that applies. I'm going to make sure they have a good credit score. Make sure that they're going to probably live there for 3 to 5 years. Just do it right. So I'm fine to let it sit vacant for 2 or 3 months. I have a fine cash position. So that's kind of the game plan. So the next 2 months, you'll just see pretty much the same thing unless another super amazing house deal comes up. And we'll get this thing rented out and close out 2019 pretty strong. So yeah, as of September 2019, my net worth is $426,392, and I'm $93,000 ahead of my goal pace of becoming a millionaire by the age of 30. So thank you all for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Last month's and next month's videos are on the screen now. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, things that you'd like to see me include in future videos, just comment them down below. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.